Strike a tuning fork in an empty room. If there is another fork in that same room, carved from the exact same metal, calibrated to the exact same frequency, it will begin to sing. It does not need to be touched. It does not need to be seen. The resonance travels through the empty space, demanding a response. But what happens when that second instrument is buried under layers of heavy earth? What happens when the frequency hits, but the soil absorbs the sound, leaving only a violent, silent tremor beneath the surface? This is the paradox you are living. You hold a frequency that defies logic. You feel a tether that stretches across cities, across oceans, perhaps across time itself. Yet, in the physical realm, there is a wall, a sudden retreat, a baffling distance. You are watching a profound connection behave like two identical magnets. When perfectly aligned, they possess the power to snap together with world-altering force. But shift one magnet just a fraction of a degree, and they repel. The harder you push them together, the more violently they force each other apart. This magnetic repulsion is not a punishment. It is not a sign of brokenness. It is, in fact, an absolute law of spiritual physics. Today, we are stepping out of the illusion of rejection. We are looking beneath the surface of the physical world. We are going to uncover the invisible architecture of your connection. We will examine the hidden forces keeping you apart and decode the silent, rigorous tests the universe demands before a union of this magnitude can safely anchor into reality. Let us deconstruct the distance. To truly understand the agonizing separation you are experiencing, we must bridge the gap between ancient spiritual truth and modern psychological science. We must look at the physical body just as closely as we look at the soul. When a profound, once-in-a-lifetime soul recognition occurs, it does not merely activate the spirit. It sends a massive, unprecedented shockwave directly into the human nervous system. You are dealing with an energetic frequency that defies the mundane world. It is a frequency so high, so pure, that the human body often does not know how to process it. In the dynamic of this intense connection, we almost always witness two distinct opposing responses to this physiological and spiritual shock. First, there is the holder of space, the anxious heart. This is the soul who feels the staggering depth of the bond and instinctively reaches outward. If you are listening to this, you are likely the anxious heart. You seek safety and proximity. You desire to merge, to close the gap, to validate the connection in the physical realm. You project an immense wave of unconditional love toward your counterpart, believing that this love is the cure for all their pain. Then there is the avoidant soul, the unawakened counterpart. When the anxious heart reaches forward with this blinding light of intimacy, how does the avoidant soul receive it? Logically, the human mind assumes they would welcome it. We are all taught that love is what every human being ultimately desires. But the nervous system does not speak the language of logic. The nervous system speaks only the language of survival. For the unawakened counterpart, this sudden influx of profound, unconditional love does not feel like a gift. It feels like an absolute threat. It feels like an ego death. Throughout their life, this person has built intricate psychological walls. These walls were designed to keep them safe from childhood wounds, from past betrayals, and from the harsh chaos of the world. Their ego created a fortress of coping mechanisms to ensure they would never be vulnerable enough to be destroyed. Suddenly, the frequency of your soul bypasses their armor completely. You see right through the fortress. You love them in a way that demands they drop their weapons. Their autonomic nervous system perceives this deep vulnerability not as romance, but as a mortal danger to their individual survival. The psychological structure they have spent a lifetime fortifying is suddenly rendered entirely useless in your presence. Therefore, they do what any biological organism does when its primary defenses are breached. They run. They pull away. They retreat into the density of the familiar. They shut down the connection to regulate their overwhelmed nervous system. They must return to a lower, safer frequency where their ego is still in control. It is vital that you understand this truth. Their retreat is not a rejection of you. It is a desperate, unconscious attempt to maintain their own psychological structure before it completely dissolves into the light you are offering. But there is an even deeper layer to this dynamic. It is a phenomenon known in quantum physics as entanglement, and in depth psychology as mirroring. Quantum entanglement dictates that once two particles have interacted, the state of one instantly influences the state of the other. This remains true regardless of the vast distance between them. In the realm of the soul, physical distance is an absolute illusion. You are energetically entangled. However, in the psychological realm, this quantum entanglement creates a perfect, unforgiving mirror. The avoidant soul is not just running from their own fears. They are actively reflecting your own unprocessed shadows back to you. Their physical absence is perfectly mirroring your internal abandonment wounds. Their sudden silence is echoing your own deeply buried subconscious fears of unworthiness. As long as the anxious heart operates from a place of lack, the dynamic cannot heal. When you project a desperate need for the other person to complete you, you are emitting a frequency of emptiness. The quantum field acts as a flawless mirror. It will continue to reflect that emptiness back to you through their continued absence. The density of your own unprocessed traumas creates a literal gravitational field of resistance. The push and pull you are experiencing is not a cruel game orchestrated by the universe. It is a precise mechanical feedback loop of your shared energetic state. The harder you push to force the union, the more you threaten their nervous system, and the more you amplify your own frequency of lack. To collapse the distance between you, you must first stop looking at their behavior. You must look at the mechanics of your own soul. You must understand that the separation is simply the mirror asking you to finally heal yourself. If the pain of this separation feels unbearable, it is because you are misinterpreting the blueprint. We are conditioned to view the gap between ourselves and our counterpart as a void. We see it as a tragic mistake. We feel it is a profound failure of the universe to deliver on its ultimate promise. You look at the empty space beside you and you see absence. You feel the deafening silence and you interpret it as an ending. But what if the separation is not a delay? What if the distance between you is not a punishment for something you did wrong? We must entirely flip the script on this suffering. We must look closely at the hidden mechanics of divine timing. What if the separation is the very mechanism of your expansion? Imagine the construction of a colossal bridge. This is not a fragile, temporary structure. It is a massive bridge designed to carry the weight of something monumental. It must hold the immense weight of a divine, high-frequency union. To build a structure that can span an ocean, the master architects do not begin by connecting the two sides. They do not rush to lay the pathway across the turbulent water. If they did, the very first storm would tear it apart. Instead, they begin by driving the pillars downward. They drive them deep into the cold, dark bedrock beneath the waves. This critical work is entirely invisible. It is deeply isolated. It happens in the crushing depths, far away from the light. Each pillar must be forged entirely independently. Each pillar must learn to endure the crushing pressure of the earth alone. The architects know a fundamental law of physics. If they attempt to lay the bridge before the pillars are fully stabilized, disaster is inevitable. If one pillar leans its weight onto the other too soon, the entire structure will collapse into the sea. The universe is the master architect of your connection, and right now, it is rigorously testing your structural integrity. It is forcing you to become a pillar that can stand entirely on its own. This period of separation is a necessary incubation. It is the essential tension of the loom. Imagine a master weaver creating an intricate, priceless tapestry. To weave a masterpiece, the silk threads must be pulled incredibly taut. If even one single thread goes slack, the entire pattern distorts and fails. The tension you feel right now is exactly like those threads. That agonizing stretch you feel across time and space is not a sign that the connection is breaking. The tension is the connection. The pull you feel in your chest is the absolute proof that the thread is secure. The universe is holding the tension perfectly so the masterpiece can be woven. In this quiet space, the universe is asking you a critical, uncompromising question. Can you hold the frequency of unconditional love without requiring physical validation? Can you love them and love yourself without needing a message to prove it is real? Can you stand entirely in your own sovereignty? The unawakened counterpart cannot return to you while you are leaning your energetic weight across the abyss. They cannot come back while you are demanding they hold you up. The universe will deliberately keep them away. It will maintain the magnetic repulsion to protect you both. It will do this until you have driven your own pillar deep into the bedrock of your own soul. The pain you feel is not rejection. It is the violent stripping away of your codependency. It is the burning off of a deeply ingrained human illusion. It is the illusion that anything outside of yourself can complete you. Society has taught us that love is about finding our missing half, but spiritual psychology demands a much higher truth. You were not brought to this connection to be saved by another person. You were not awakened to be rescued. You were brought to this connection to be introduced to your own ultimate power. The separation is a fiercely protective act of the universe. It is a divine quarantine. It is designed to forge you into an unbreakable vessel capable of holding a massive energetic charge. When you finally realize this truth, the suffering begins to dissolve. The desperate waiting ends. The illusion of abandonment shatters. It is replaced by a quiet, unshakable power. You stop looking across the ocean for rescue. You finally look down at the earth and you begin to build your pillar. Understanding the architecture of this connection intellectually is a profound realization. But it is only the very first step. The mind can easily grasp the concept of the bridge. The intellect can accept the absolute necessity of the pillars. However, the physical body must actually do the heavy lifting. To alter the magnetic field between you and your counterpart, you cannot rely on thought alone. You must fundamentally alter the frequency of your own vessel. You must shift from a state of chaotic reaction to a state of grounded sovereignty. There are 3 profound internal shifts you must make today. These are not tactics to manipulate them into returning. These are necessary mental and energetic moves to collapse the resistance within yourself. The first shift requires you to move from seeking to anchoring. The anxious heart naturally bleeds energy outward. It is a biological and spiritual habit deeply ingrained in your nervous system. You wake up in the morning, and your very first thought is of them. Before you even open your eyes, you send your consciousness across the quantum field. You are constantly checking on them. You are wondering about them. You are waiting to feel their energy. This relentless outward projection leaves your own physical body completely vacant. It dysregulates your nervous system. It keeps you locked in a state of chronic fight or flight. You are operating like a lighthouse, frantically searching the dark water. You must stop searching. You must call your energy back home. When you catch your mind reaching across the void, you must intervene. Take a deep, deliberate breath that expands your lower abdomen. Command your scattered energy to return to your physical core. Ground yourself entirely in the present sensory reality of your own body. By regulating your own vagus nerve, you signal absolute safety to the quantum field. You stop being a chaotic, grasping frequency. You become a grounded, magnetic anchor. You become a safe harbor. The second shift requires you to decode the mirror. You must stop analyzing the behavior of the avoidant soul. Their actions are merely data. Their silence is not a weapon deliberately forged against you. It is simply a reflection. Instead of obsessing over their distance, turn the gaze violently inward. When their silence triggers a massive wave of panic within you, you must change the question. Do not ask why they are ignoring you. Do not ask what you did wrong to push them away. Ask a much harder question. Ask where in your own life you are abandoning yourself. Look closely at the specific wounds their absence agitates. Is it the deeply rooted fear of not being chosen? Is it the childhood terror of being inherently unlovable? This connection is not a traditional romance. It is a surgical tool. It is designed to cut open the exact places within you that desperately require your own love. You must stop asking them to bandage a wound they did not create. You must tend to the anxious heart yourself. When you finally heal the core wound within, the dynamic shifts entirely. The mirror will have no choice but to reflect that new wholeness back to you. The third and final shift requires you to release the timeline. The most exhausting human construct is the act of waiting. Waiting implies that your life is permanently paused until an external event occurs. It places all of your personal power entirely in the future. It robs you of your current existence. But the soul does not exist in the future. The soul is entirely quantum. It exists only in the absolute, immediate now. You must drop the timeline. You must stop waiting for the text message. You must stop waiting for the grand reunion. You must step fully into the terrifying, beautiful reality of your life, exactly as it is today. You must pursue your own individual purpose with a relentless, quiet ferocity. You must build a life so rich and so vibrant that you do not need them to complete it. This surrender cannot be faked. You cannot surrender the timeline as a secret manipulation tactic to get them back. The universe recognizes the frequency of deception. It must be a genuine, terrifying release of control. When you truly let go, you collapse the quantum waiting room. You instantly remove the suffocating energetic pressure from the unawakened counterpart. And paradoxically, it is only in this space of absolute energetic freedom that they can finally find their way back to you. The mysterious forces keeping you apart are not your enemies. They are your teachers: gravity, magnetism, resonance. They are the divine laws ensuring that when the bridge is finally built, it will never be broken. You do not need to chase. You do not need to force the puzzle pieces together. Your only task is to become so deeply rooted in your own soil, so fiercely anchored in your own light, that your frequency becomes undeniable. The union you are seeking does not happen when two halves finally meet. It happens when two wholes finally recognize that they were never truly separate. Draw your energy back. Build your pillar. The universe is holding the tension. Trust the architecture of your own soul. Until next time, remain grounded, remain whole.